Hi, this is Sales Director Tammera Porter. So in this video, we are going to teach you how to meet some fun new prospects for your business, new customers. So when I moved to Kentucky 6.5 years ago, I had zero friends and family here, absolutely no one. Needless to say, I had to find another way to meet people. So that's what we're going to talk about today, is a really fun, easy way to meet some new customers and to build your business. So I can't take credit for this idea. I did get it from another director many years ago, but I can take credit for perfecting it because I've really spent a lot of time over the last couple of years figuring out exactly what works and what doesn't work. This is a really fun enter to win drawing that you can do at many different places. Basically, you start out with either a really cute vase or you start out with a really cute enter to win lead box. But basically you're going to be putting them out in different areas so that women that see them can enter to win the drawing, and we'll go into very specifics on what that looks like. But you're going to be placing these out so that women in the area and in the community can enter to win a drawing for some free Mary Kay products. Of course, they're going to know it's a Mary Kay drawing, and then we're going to talk about booking those leads and how all of those leads can build your business. This is a glass vase that comes either from Hobby Lobby or from Walmart in the pet section, not in the floral section. They're ones that they use to put betas in, so that's where this comes from. But it has to be smooth glass, first of all. You don't want anything that's got the beveled glass because it's too hard to read. And you need one that's large enough that you can put a good size sign in it because you want somebody to be able to see this from across the room. So to decorate it is just a little bit of tulle that is literally tied in a knot around it. I like to use 2 or 3 colors, and sometimes I add more than that to them. And then just a flower hot glued in the center, any kind of flower that you want to put. I change mine seasonally, so I have spring ones for spring, and then I can cut them off, and then I can put something that's more fall out in the fall or something that's more summery. So I do change up the look of them often, and then I always tie a pin to everything that I do. So this is just a cute little flower on top of some floral tape, or you can use duct tape to make these, but the pin does have to be tied to it. It's very important. But these are like $3 or $4 at Hobby Lobby. I usually go when they have their glass that's on when they do it half price. So either Hobby Lobby or from Walmart. The lead boxes I did later, mainly because I dropped a few of the vases in the middle of the nail salon that I had them out at and broke them. And so that's where the idea for the lead box came. I also had a couple of salons that they did not have enough room for the larger vases. Okay, this is an acrylic lead box that comes from mygirlfriendshouse.com. They're really cute. They're pretty durable. Mine have lasted forever. And so they just have a cute little sign that slides in and out the back, so your leads are really easy to come in and out. And so then I just make a little sign to go in them, and then, very important, I tie a pin to them. And so we'll talk about the importance of that a little bit later, but if you don't tie a pin to them, then it will disappear, and you won't have one for them to actually enter with. But these come from mygirlfriendshouse.com. I think they're like $12 a piece. They're a little bit more expensive, but definitely worth it. They'll last you forever, so I think they're a great investment if you're going to continue to do leads like this for a long period of time. Basically, what we're going to do is that first of all, you've got to decide what appeals to you, but it needs to look either this is more professional looking, so you can go with a more professional look, or you can go with a cutesy classic look, but you don't want to do tacky and you don't want to do cheap. I've seen other people do versions of these and go to the dollar store and put something really cheap and tacky ribbon around it, and it doesn't look good. And so if you do cheap and tacky, that's the type of leads that you're going to attract, is cheap and tacky, and that's not what we're looking for. Okay, now we're going to talk specifically about what your sign is going to say. And I have done a lot of stuff over the years, and I've had a lot of consultants try stuff over the years, and this is what I have found to be most effective. And so this sign just simply says, enter to win a $50 gift certificate or a free pampering package. period. That's all it needs to say, and small letters under it. It does say, 3 second place winners will be drawn, or multiple second place winners will be drawn. It does have the smaller lead box does have Mary Kay on it, very small. The larger vase does not. And there's a reason for that. Number one, people need simple. They are not going to read a lot of letters. They are going to look at this vase from across the room and they're going to say, oh, $50 gift certificate, and they're going to make a decision whether or not to put their name in. And so it's got to be very simple. It's got to be very clear writing, very concise for them to see, and it can't have a whole lot of wording on it. Over the years, I've had consultants that were like, oh, I don't want to give away a $50 gift certificate. I can't afford that, so I'm going to give away a $10 gift certificate. No one is entering your drawing for a $10 gift certificate. That is the bottom line. So if that's what you're wanting to do, then this is probably not a valid way for you to gather leads, because then you're going to take the time to put them out and no one is going to enter. The other thing is that I don't give a $50 gift certificate away for every single drawing, okay? Just like any other company that does a drawing and gives away a vacation or a gift certificate or whatever it is, I give away one from all of my vases or my lead boxes per quarter, okay? Or you could even do one per 6 months. There's nothing on this that says that you're every single time you pick this up that you're going to give away a $50 gift certificate. Now, personally, I give every single person that enters a gift certificate to spend with me. So I give away way more than $50 for each one of these that I pick up. It's just going to several different people. But if your initial amount of your gift certificate is not substantial enough for that person to put their entry in, then you're going to be very disappointed with the results. And so this is when we will upload the exact file of what it says, but this is what I have found to be most effective. So very little writing on here, very simple. Again, no one is going to remember what this says. And if you put too much writing on here, then halfway through, they're just going to quit and walk away. They're not even going to finish reading it. A prime example of that, I had a consultant one time that she put out a ton of the vases, and a few weeks later she said I had no entries in them. And I said, okay, you did them exactly the way I said. And she was like, yes. And I was like, tell me what your sign said. This is exactly what her sign said. Enter to win a pampering session for you and your 5 friends and get a 10% shopping spree. No wonder no one entered that, okay? Any store that has a 10% shopping spree, are you even like getting out of bed early and going? No, you're not. So you've got to make it enticing enough that when they glance at it, they are going to see gift certificate, they're going to see the number, and then that's it. Now on your entry form is going to cover that this is indeed a Mary Kay drawing. So we are not trying to dupe anybody into entering something and not knowing what it is. There's absolutely no way they can fill out the entry slip and not know that it's a Mary Kay drawing. But you just got to get people's attention, and you've got to keep it simple and to the point, or they're going to get distracted, they're not going to enter, and then you're going to have a low number of leads from your vases or your lead boxes. Okay, your entry slips. Entry slips are very important. And again, I have done a lot of things over the years, and so we will upload the exact version of them so that you can see them. It will be in a file that you can edit if you choose to. But just a quick explanation of it is, it's going to ask them, have they ever tried Mary Kay products in the past? Do they have an active consultant? Because if they write down an active consultant's name, then of course I am not going to call this person. They obviously have a consultant, and I'm not going to contact them. Another thing that is on here, it specifically says it has the age 14 to 17. And you might be like, well, why is that there? And that is because if a girl is 14 to 17 and she enters your drawing, you really want to know that, and you don't want her to lie. If you start out at 18 and above, a lot of times they're going to mark that they're 18 even though they're not. And so if they are 14 to 17, then you know that ahead of time, and you can decide whether or not you want to contact that person or not. I have on here specifically, do you text? Because I text all of my referrals from my vases and from my lead boxes. I personally don't call them. That is a personal choice, and I find both ways effective. You just have to, for what you do in your business normally, then you do what works for you. But I personally text all of my leads from this, and so I want to know if they text. Now, if they marked that they don't text, then of course I'm going to call that person. And then it just has an area for their name, their address, and I put cell phone number required. Some people will fill this out, put an email address on here, and not include a phone number. So that's why it says cell phone number is required. So your entry slips are important. I think printing them in black and white on really bright paper is much more attractive. If you send the file to your local Office Depot store, I sent like 20 sheets. There's 6 per sheet, and I had them cut as well too, and I used my Office Depot discount through Mary Kay, and it was like $3 or $4. So it's very inexpensive. I recommend doing that over doing it yourself. It's a lot of work to print these and to cut them out yourself, so just send them to Office Depot. Just make sure you take in the discount card number and do them in black and white. I think our black and white copies are like 3 cents a piece, so it's really cheap to do that. So where are we going to put these out at? That's what we want to talk about next. Nail salons is probably one of the #1 places that I use. They are used to people asking to do drawings there, number one. Number two, they are always independently owned, at least in this part of the country. They are never chains. And so you want to stay away from anything that is a chain store. There's a few exceptions to that. But nail salons are great. Tanning salons that are individually owned are also another good source. You do not want, like Suntan City is probably not going to let you put one of these out unless you personally know an owner of them. Most corporate stores have rules about this. Independently owned dress shops are good. Beauty shops, you pretty much have to know the owner. Most of the time, they will have someone that sells a skincare product at the salon, and so sometimes it can be a conflict of interest. I have not had a huge amount of luck with beauty salons, but other people have, and so that can be another good source. In small towns, a lot of restaurants are independently owned, usually like your Thai restaurants or your Mexican restaurants, and sometimes your Chinese restaurants are independently owned, and so that can be another good source to put them out because that's got a lot of flow of people through it. And a lot of times in this area of the country, we have a Fazoli's restaurant. It is a chain, but a lot of those restaurants have like a table when you go inside that local businesses can put their brochures and cards on. And so any of those places, a lot of times, sometimes they won't let you put something out as big as a vase, but they will let you put one of the smaller lead boxes out. So also we are a college town. So on a college campus, there's lots of little cafes and coffee shops and stuff like that, again, that are independently owned and not necessarily chains. And so those are a great place to ask if you can put a vase or a lead box out. So what that kind of sounds like. Walking into a store, especially if it's a nail salon, usually I do not even get my entire script out before they're like, oh, you can put it there. But what that would sound like would be something like, hey, I would like to do a free drawing for your customers. I'm going to give away some pampering sessions and a couple of gift certificates, and I'm also going to buy a gift certificate from your salon to give away. Now, half the time before I'm even done, they're like, yes, you can put it over here. Are some places going to say no? Yes, they are. If that bothers you, then this is probably not the source for you to do, because someone is going to tell you no, that you cannot put one out. So I had a girl one time that she went to 2 places. The first 2 places told her no, and so she never went back to another place and actually asked if she could put one out because the first 2 told her no. So I want you to expect that in advance, that someone may tell you no, you cannot put one out, and that's okay. Not every place is going to say yes, but a lot of places will have small tables or areas where they let local businesses put out their business cards. They do brochures. Any of you that have like large gyms in the area, then they do a lot of lead boxes like this, and so somewhere that lets one of those out will usually let you put one out as well. So, but I'm kind of specific with the owner. I let them know that I'm going to come back in 2 weeks to pick it up, and that I won't leave it longer than that. So I don't leave it there forever. And one thing that I personally really bothers me is when I go into a business and I see that a consultant has put out a vase or has put out a lead box, and then she's left it for a month or 2 months. It's kind of a mess. There's entries in it, but no one has come back to pick it up. So you want to make sure that these are something that you're checking every 2 weeks. If you do keep it out longer than that, that once every 2 weeks you do come back and you check on it. Okay, one thing that I do is I also keep a list of where I put mine out. And I know that sounds funny, but even I have forgotten them a few times. And so on my cell phone, under my notes, I just have a little place that says, under my notes on my iPhone, it says where my vases are. And so I write down the name of the salon and I put down the date that I put it out, because I have found that for myself in particular, I'll be like, oh, I just put that vase out, and it's actually been 2 or 3 weeks, and I really do need to check it. And that also helps me know the last time that I checked it. So in my notes, I just pull it up and I see that, I went by the Red Nails at, the Fayette Mall, and I checked it on May 29th. And so I also track how many leads it had in it at that time. So, because if I have somewhere that's consistently a good source of leads, then I'm going to continue to leave that vase out or that lead box out. If I have somewhere that consistently is empty, then I'm going to move it and put it somewhere else. Because I've had, for instance, nail salons. I've had 2 that were within 2 blocks of each other. One of them I would go back and it was completely full. The other one I would go back and it would have none in it. I don't have an explanation for that. Maybe then one of the salons was busier than the other, but you want to kind of critique which places you get good leads from, a good amount of leads from, which places that you don't. And so if you have somewhere that you go back and it's consistently empty, then it's probably not a great place to leave it out. I would just take it up. Or I will say sometimes if I've had a place that maybe my lead box did not do well, then I'll switch it up and put a vase out. And maybe the vase did better than the lead box. And you can just kind of play with that and see how that works for you. But I do find it's helpful to keep the list, keep it on your phone, and then you always know where your vases are. One thing you always want to make sure that you do is that you have some dummy leads folded up and put into your vase or your box or whatever it is that you're putting out. You never want one that's empty. An empty one will stay empty. No one likes to enter a drawing that's empty, and so you need to make sure that you just fold some dummy ones up and throw them in there, because then when they see entries in there, they're like, ooh, someone's already entered that, I need to do that too. So we need to make sure that we have dummy entries in there, and you just keep 1 or 2 in there at all times. You never want to put an empty one out. The same thing with your vases. You want to make sure that they've got a couple of entries in the bottom of them so that they're not totally empty. Okay, booking them. We're going to we'll include some files with this of the actual script that I use. Like I said, I do all of mine through texting, so I'm going to send a text script with them, and it is very, very basic. But what's going to happen is that you're going to draw one of these for your grand prize winner, and that's whenever you decide to do it, whether that's quarterly, whether that's twice a year. You decide whenever you do your grand prize winner. Everyone else that enters your vase is going to be a second place winner, okay? And so again, we'll upload the exact script, but it is basically going to be for a pampering session and a gift certificate. I personally do at least a $10 or $15 gift certificate for each person that enters and that books a session with me, and we'll kind of go into that in some more detail. But I book the person first for their session, and then I let them know that they can have friends join them. So I never try to immediately book it into a party with someone that I have never met. And that is personally how I like to do it. And I know that there's some that, especially if they, check on the entry slip that they would like to have a girls' night with 4 or more, that they may try to go ahead and book a party with them. But I just personally don't. I like to book the person, let them book their time, and then let them know that they can have friends join them. So my text message is very simple. It says, "This is Tammera with Mary Kay. You entered a drawing at the nail salon, and guess what? You are my second place winner of," and then I tell them what they have won. And so I have a very specific script for that. Again, if you want to change that up a little bit, you can. One thing that I have found that I avoid is using the word facial. Because I think it can be a little bit misleading, especially if this is at a salon. Then sometimes they think they're coming back to the salon to get, a lay in the chair facial. And that's not what I'm wanting them to think at all. And so I just avoid using that word. And so I call it, a pampering session, or a skincare and anti-aging session. And so that's personally what I like to do. And again, we'll send you the exact script, and you you can do whichever you choose, but I just personally avoid using the word facial. It's just a thing that I have. So, but each of those people is going to win a second place prize from you. And so when you're texting people, usually, I'm sitting there, I'm sending out my text messages, I'm at Starbucks, and within 5 minutes, I have people that are messaging me back, oh my gosh, I'm so excited, I won. Now, I'm very clear with them that it is a second place prize. I don't want someone to think they were the grand prize winner if they weren't. But they're very excited about it. Many times I've had people tell me, oh my gosh, you just made my whole day. I had the worst day ever, and then you messaged me, and I'm so excited. So it's a lot of fun for people, and you've got to have fun with this. I've had people that have written on the entry slips, oh, I'm new to the area, and I don't have a consultant. Will you call me? I've had people that have been like, lost my consultant and I'm out of cleanser, call me. I've even had people write on my entry slips that they were interested in being a consultant and they would like for me to get in touch with them. So, it's a really great way to connect with people in the community, whether they've never tried Mary Kay or whether they've tried it before and maybe they've lost their consultant or don't currently have one, then you end up picking up a bunch of new customers. Okay, another thing that may happen when you go and put out either vases or lead boxes is that you might come back and it might be gone. It might just have totally vanished and disappeared. It's happened many times to me. You may come back and the vase is hidden under the table somewhere and has no leads in it, which can be very disappointing. So one time I had a child that took all of my entry forms and drew on them and stuffed them into the vase. So it looked like I had a ton of leads, but then I had a whole bunch of cute little drawings from a 2- and 3-year-old. Routinely, for some unknown reason with the vases, I come back and the pin has been dunked in and all the entry forms are slammed in like that. So then nobody else can enter. And so the first thing with that is, number one, don't be disappointed by it. Number two, that is why we have 4 or 5 or 6 or 8 or 10 of them out. And so when that kind of thing happens and we go back, if we only have one out, then we're really, really disappointed. Just have fun with it. It should be an extra. There should always be 3, 4, 5 different ways and rivers of leads that you are getting. And if you haven't watched the video on referral booking, then you definitely want to do that. But there should be a lot of different ways that you're gathering leads and not just one vase out. Because if you have just one vase out and you go to pick that vase up and then something's happened, you're going to be really disappointed. So that's not our goal. That's not what we want to do. We want to have fun with this and we want to have a good source of new leads but we don't want it to be upsetting if you have one thing that happens that's disappointing. Okay, so in closing, have fun with this, make it look classy. Do not spend 50,000 hours decorating your vases. It should be something that you can do in 5 minutes or less. And have fun with it. Sometimes it's even something that 2 consultants can do together. You can go together and put them out. You can go together to check them. And you can split your leads. And it makes it a really fun thing to do with one of your team members or a consultant friend of yours. So when I first did my drawings, as I said, I had no friends or family in the area at all. So I put 10 or 11 of these out. I just didn't do one. 1 or 2. If you're just wanting to maybe have a few parties a month and you want a very small time business, then 1 or 2 of these. But, I literally had 10 to 12 out at any given time. And I earned my car 4 months later strictly off of my vase leads and my lead boxes and then booking referrals from those appointments. And so it was just a great way for me to meet new women. It was really fun. It was exciting for them. And it brought a lot of energy to my business. And so some of my top consultants in my unit today, I met that way. And they're probably watching this video and going, oh my gosh, I met her that way, which is really fun. So I just wanted to pass it along to all of you because I just think it's such a fun and exciting way to meet new people. So I hope you have lots of new leads for your business.